How did they do that? I put a new bird box up to see if it would attract any blue tits, and I put a camera in. Within days, a young female blue tit was roosting in the box. Over the next few weeks, she brought more and more nest material in, presumably found a mate somewhere, and laid some eggs. Then the eggs hatched, and she and he fed them. And then the chicks fledged, heading off into the wild blue yonder. How do birds do this? How do they know how to give birth and then how to get their offspring out of the nest? It's a complicated process, and I wondered if there was something we could learn from these birds when it comes to writing a book. How do you give birth to your ideas, and then how do you get them out into the world in the shape of a book? But then I realized, you are not a blue tit. They tackle this complicated process on autopilot. It's written in their DNA. But while the ability to give birth to a book and get it out the door is not written in your DNA, it is at least written down. Because, together with Jacqueline Moore, my wife and business partner, we've written and published so many books together that we've come to understand the process of writing and publishing in its minutest detail. Now, very soon we'll share our new book on how to write books. Stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, here are the 12 key steps you need to follow to give birth to your book and get it out the door. Let's deal with giving birth to your book first. Step 1 is conception. You need to spend a day or two hammering out what is the main idea of your book and why are you writing? What do you hope to achieve with it? What's the outcome that you're looking for? What do you want people to know, do, be, or feel as a result of reading your book? Step 2 is your prenatal plan. In this step, you figure out who you're going to talk to for your primary research, who are you going to interview, and where's the secondary research going to come from? What reports or books or news articles are you going to read, and where will you find them? Step 3, you actually do your primary research. Set up the interviews and tackle them. Record every single one. Use a recorder, specifically the audio. Now, if you can get video too, Zoom interviews or footage from a face-to-face interview, that's going to be really helpful. The audio because you can get it transcribed, and the video because it can make some really fantastic behind-the-scenes material for YouTube or LinkedIn, whatever your social media channel of choice happens to be. Step 4, you gather your secondary research in, spotting gaps in the record. What's missing? What assumptions have people made? Where do you think existing research might be wrong? Step 5, start writing. It's up to you how you do that. You could try a little and often in bursts of enthusiasm, or you can stockpile all the material until you're ready one day to just go. Write it all out in one burst. Step 6, you've finished the writing. Set deadlines if you find this difficult to close the project out. Have someone hold you accountable perhaps. Now, if you follow these 6 steps, you will have given birth to your book. An hour a day will do it if you can just sustain that for around 12 weeks. It might take you a little longer if the real world gets in the way. Now you're on to phase 2, getting your book out the door. Step 7 then is refining and editing your manuscript. Now, you may not be the best person to do this. You really need a professional editor to make sure you're getting your points in the right order and that your language is coherent and confident. Once the editing is done, there's step 8. You need to typeset the manuscript. Now, we use the Adobe InDesign package. You can get a 30-day free trial of that software if you don't have a copy to see whether it works for you. Whatever you do, please don't use Microsoft Word. That's not a typesetting program. Step 9 is to proofread your typeset book. And again, you may not be the right person to do this. Even friends and colleagues who might be able to share the load might not be right here. They're not invested in your book in the same way that you are. If you're serious about getting your book delivered professionally, hire a professional proofreader. Thank me later. Now your book is almost out the door. In step 10, you format the book for the Kindle platform. You can use the program called Kindle Create from Amazon. It's clunky, but it's getting better all the time. You can also upload the typeset manuscript to Amazon as a paperback, which will be printed on demand. Someone orders your book, overnight Amazon prints it and ships it to them. Magic. Don't forget to design a good cover. You can use Photoshop or whatever graphics program works for you. There's Canva as well. Or you can hire a great designer. Plenty of them around. Message me if you need help. I almost forgot to mention hardbacks, because if you want to publish a hardback, well, Amazon can now publish your hardback too. It'll have what's called a printed paper case, like this, my brother's textual art. Only significant difference, they won't have a flap. But if you want a flap, you could use the Ingram Spark platform, which can handle jackets and flaps. In step 11, you'll draft an initial marketing plan that'll help your book to fledge and get out the door. And that's almost it, except for step 12, the final countdown to launch program. Don't bother with press releases, waste of time, but you might consider getting PDF copies of your finished book to the people that you interviewed, or to interested people that you'd like to write Amazon reviews. Every little helps. To be honest, your book will require some ongoing parenting to keep it in the public eye. Now, one way of doing that is to sequence the hardback first, and then a few months later to release the paperback. You can also release some or all of your interviews. Drip feed them out a week or so at a time on LinkedIn or YouTube, again, wherever is your social media network of choice. Now, I know these 12 steps are not embedded in your DNA. I accept that. You're not a blue tit. So Jacqueline and I have created a checklist, the book launch blueprint, to act as a reminder for you. And you can get it from the link in the comments below. Now, the checklist will definitely help you to get your book done and out. But if you want to find out how to make your book a long-term commercial success, if you want to make serious revenues with your book, then you need to watch this video right now. Hey, I found the Blue Tit manual. How do they read it?